Hello, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing good. So today I wanted to cover something that I know kept me from going no contact for decades, but I've now come to realise never existed in the first place. And that's namely narc parents leaving the scapegoat money in their will. And it's not shallow of you to expect an inheritance when your parents pass away. Guaranteed your golden child sibling will never leave the narcs purely because they fully expect to get the lion's share of any inheritance. So they're the shallow ones. And for us, we naturally hope that we'll be financially rewarded for enduring decades of abuse. Kind of a, we treated you horribly, but here's some compensation gesture from our narcs. And the narcs are all too aware of the power of this kind of hope. And it's one of the things they use to control us and keep us on the hook, along with the usual fear, obligation and guilt. And they may not even say outright, if you don't stop your no contact, we're writing you out of the will. And the thing is, narcs love to future fake. In romantic relationships, this might be, stay with me and keep taking my BS and I'll marry you and I'll give you kids. And for us, it might be promise of the family home or a big chunk of savings and investments. But the operative word here is fake. The narcs have zero intention of following through on these promises. They're merely dangling a carrot in front of us to force us to stay. And this realization is what made me finally cut the cord. Because being the scapegoat, I learned very early on that I can't rely on my parents for anything. So I've always been fiercely independent and I've never asked for anything. My brother, not so much. And I recently discovered that my parents bought a flat for my brother. And I'm not envious because I see it for what it is, which is a gilded cage. My parents now control what is supposed to be a safe haven. They can dictate how the flat is decorated. They can dictate who can visit. They can drop by unannounced. And if my brother misbehaves, in inverted commas, he could find himself evicted. And guess what finally prompted me to start distancing myself from my family? My father announcing he was going to buy a flat and put me in it. I had no input in this. This was something he dreamed up. And to a normal person, this would seem like a hugely generous gesture. But to a scapegoat, as the guy says in Star Wars, it's a trap. So if I took that flat, I'd be permanently legally tied to those people. And I'd be back under the fear, obligation and guilt. I would have no choice in the matter when my father passes and my mother inevitably decides to move in with me. I would have no choice if my mother decides to assign me the role of old age bum wiper. No thank you. I left home at 17 for a good reason, and I've never gone back. I've lived in some terrible rental properties over the years. I was even homeless at one point, while my wealthy parents have always had spare rooms. But I genuinely preferred living with damp, mould, bed bugs and psycho housemates to the idea of taking a room in my parents' house. As a scapegoat, I value my freedom and my mental well-being more than I value money. And you have to remember that all gifts given by narcs come with strings attached, so they're not really gifts. Narcs use money as a way to exert power and control over people. They're obsessed with money and status. They value having the best of everything, so they could lord it over other people. Image is everything to them. For people like us, we simply value being happy. So please don't let the empty promise of inheritance keep you trapped in a relationship with your abusers. If you stay, you're guaranteed to be the child who takes on the care of the narcs when they're old. It's probably been the plan since you were born. I know it definitely was for me. As I mentioned in a previous video, narc parents get so much worse with age. And after putting your life on hold to care for them at the end of their lives, it's more than likely the golden child gets everything in the will, while you get a middle finger from beyond the grave. Freedom and mental well-being has no price, and I know I'd rather live in poverty but be happy. So, with that, look after yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.